Hello, I'm Luke O'Neill and here I am in my lab in the Trinity Biomedical Sciences Institute. So this week on my COVID-19 update, a very interesting study from Spain. Barcelona was the centre of this. They've compared the two waves of the pandemic, the first wave of last year and the second wave, in terms of patients, level of mortality and various things, and very interesting differences have emerged. First of all, the first wave was much more serious, a lot more death really, a lot more illness happened, a lot more people in hospital. The second wave, a lot less mortality, and the average age dropped of people getting infected during the second wave. Now the reason for this could be the vulnerable sadly were badly affected the first time, and then of course people got better at protecting the vulnerable for the second wave. And secondly then, more young people, I guess the spread was more evident among those people. So again, we're seeing very interesting differences between the first and second wave. That will apply across many countries, we think, and the good news actually is we learned how to treat patients from the first wave into the second and beyond. And a study on whether if you've been infected with other coronaviruses, might they give you some protection against COVID-19. This was always suspected actually, and there was some evidence for this. And now a good study has shown if you've had a different coronavirus, your immune system makes antibodies and makes T cells against that coronavirus. And then when you get infected with SARS-CoV-2, the COVID-19 virus, there's a bit of protection. And the evidence was really good. It suggested that if you had been infected before, your time with the disease was lessened because the immune system was better able to fight this virus. And hospitalizations actually were decreased as well. This is a good sign because it means there will be some built-in immunity in our communities from previous coronaviruses. And of course, we're very happy with the vaccination campaign. All over the world now, the vaccine is being rolled out. 1 billion people now have been vaccinated, amazingly, with 1 or 2 shots. And that's great news. We move on now, actually, to when we need a booster. And of course, the big question is, will people need a booster in the wintertime? Now, Pfizer are doing a big analysis of their vaccine, and they're running 2 trials. A booster with the old vaccine, that's like the 3rd shot really after 2 shots, or indeed one specific for the South African variant. And guess what? It turns out that the old vaccine may work just as well, because a 3rd shot really gives a big immune response. You get loads of antibodies again, loads of T cells, and they could well protect you against variants. And by the way, the trial with the new variant is of course proceeding, and that may give good data as well, we don't know, but still both trials will give us a lot of information. The other thing they're trying to figure out is how long will immunity last, and that's a big question. And they think at least 12 months now from 2 shots. And that means you won't need a booster until a year later after your 2nd shot. And who knows, maybe beyond. They're comparing SARS-CoV-2 to hepatitis B. And that's a well-known virus. It's a good vaccine against hepatitis B. And that gives 10 years protection. Now, wouldn't it be tremendous if the 2 shots of, say, Pfizer or Moderna or AstraZeneca or whatever vaccine it is gave years of protection? You wouldn't need a booster then. So it's very much a work in progress to see when and if a booster shot will be needed. And some good news for coffee drinkers. Now wait till you hear this one. A big interest in this disease is loss of sense of smell, and it's a common feature of COVID-19, of course it is. And there are people trying to help in terms of bring back your sense of smell. And a Chemosensory research unit in Connecticut have done a big analysis, and what they found is very, very interesting. If you smell Turkish coffee, now why they use Turkish coffee, I don't know. I don't know what Turkish coffee is. It must be a very strong type of coffee. That seemed to cut through the problem with sense of smell. And not only that, it brought the sense of smell back a bit. So you never know. Coffee might actually bring your sense of smell back, or certainly improve it, and that would help people who've lost their sense of smell because of COVID-19. And you can hear about these stories and more on my weekly COVID-19 update with Pat Kenny on Newstalk.